Name is Natalie Harper. I'm 31 years old, and until 3 weeks ago, I genuinely believed my life was settled. Not perfect, not fairy tale perfect, but solid, built, earned. I'd been with Daniel Wright for 4 years. 4 long, ordinary, meaningful years. We met at a mutual friend's birthday party, the kind where everyone is holding plastic cups and pretending they don't care who's watching. He was calm, observant, quietly confident, not flashy, not loud, the kind of man you notice later and wonder how you almost missed him. Within 6 months, we were inseparable. He moved into my apartment. We adopted routines instead of habits. Sunday grocery runs, Thursday takeout, arguments about nothing that ended in laughter because neither of us knew how to stay mad. Last December, he proposed during a weekend trip to the mountains. Snow on the ground, cold air, his hands shaking just slightly when he opened the ring box. I said yes, without hesitation. We set the date for October. I told myself I was lucky. The cracks didn't come as explosions. They came as comments. Daniel had always been close with his college friends, especially Lauren, his ex-girlfriend. I never thought much of it at first. They'd dated years ago. They'd broken up. Adults could be friends. I believed that. I still do. But Lauren's name started appearing more often. Lauren thinks the ivory invitations look cheap. Lauren said we should push the honeymoon later. Lauren asked if I was okay with outdoor seating. It was strange, not because he mentioned her, but because he deferred to her. Still, I'd told myself I was being sensitive. Weddings make people weird. Stress magnifies nonsense. Then came the engagement party. Daniel's parents hosted it at their house. Nothing extravagant, about 40 people, family, friends, the people who would soon sit on either side of us at the ceremony. Lauren came. She was polished in a way that felt deliberate, calm, confident, standing just a little too close to Daniel, touching his arm when she spoke, laughing a beat too long at his jokes. I noticed everything. I was in the kitchen grabbing ice when I heard my name. I wasn't trying to listen, but voices carry when people think they're safe. "He's stable," Daniel said. His voice was casual, thoughtful. "Good job. Responsible. Checks all the boxes." Lauren laughed softly. But you know how it is," he said. "It's nice to know there are options." My hands froze around the bag of ice. Lauren's voice dropped. "So, if things don't work out," Daniel didn't hesitate. "You're right there, like a safety net." Something inside me went very quiet. I stood there longer than I should have, holding melting ice, feeling like I had stepped outside my own body. When I finally walked back into the room, I smiled. I laughed. I played the role. That night, I lay beside him, staring at the ceiling, replaying the words. Options. Safety net. The next morning, I asked casually, like someone who hadn't already fallen, "You and Lauren seem close lately," I said over coffee. "Everything okay?" He barely looked up from his phone. "Yeah, why?" "Just noticing." He rolled his eyes. "You were not jealous, are you? She's my ex. Ancient history." I nodded, but I started paying attention. The texts he smiled at and locked away, the extra effort before meeting her with friends, the way he spoke about her opinions like they mattered more than mine. 2 weeks before the wedding, we had our final venue walkthrough. The coordinator was explaining seating arrangements. Daniel was texting, smiling at his phone. "Daniel," I said. "What?" He sounded annoyed. "She's asking about the head table." "Whatever you think," he said dismissively. In the parking lot, something in me snapped. Not loudly, but cleanly. "Who are you texting?" I asked. He sighed. "Lauren, she had a question." I took a breath. "Daniel, what's really going on?" He studied me, and for the first time, I didn't see guilt. I saw calculation. He laughed, light, airy. "You're being paranoid." Then he stepped closer, lowered his voice. "Look, relationships are complicated," he said. "It's smart to have contingencies." I stared at him. "If you mess up," he added calmly, "I have a backup." The world didn't explode, it just rearranged itself. "All right," I said quietly. His smile faltered. "What?" "Bring her," I said. "Let's see how solid your options really are." I didn't sleep that night.
Daniel rolled over beside me like nothing had happened, one arm heavy across my waist, breathing slow and even. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling fan, counting rotations like they were seconds ticking down to something inevitable. In the morning, he acted normal. Too normal. He made coffee, asked if I wanted eggs, kissed my cheek before leaving for work like the night before hadn't split something open inside me. I watched him from the doorway, trying to understand how a person could casually admit they had a replacement lined up and still expect intimacy afterward. That's when I realized something uncomfortable. To Daniel, what he'd said wasn't cruel, it was logical. That afternoon, I texted him, "We need to talk tonight." He responded immediately, "You're still on that? I thought we moved past it." We hadn't moved past anything. He'd stepped over it. Big difference. That evening, we sat across from each other at the kitchen table. The same table where we'd planned vacations, debated paint colors, laughed over cheap wine. "I want clarity," I said calmly. "No jokes, no deflection." He leaned back, arms crossed. "Fine. Are you emotionally involved with Lauren?" He scoffed. "No." "Are you keeping her close as an alternative?" He hesitated, just a second too long. "I wouldn't phrase it like that," he said, "but yes, she's an option." There it was, king undeniable. "And you thought telling me this was acceptable?" He shrugged. "I thought you'd appreciate honesty." "Honesty without empathy is just cruelty dressed up as virtue." He frowned. "You're being dramatic." That word, dramatic, used by people who want to shut down a conversation without engaging in it. "I'm about to marry you," I said, "and you're telling me there's someone waiting in the wings?" He leaned forward now, voice softer, almost soothing. "Natalie, listen, I chose you. I proposed to you. Doesn't that matter?" "It matters less when you keep reminding me I'm replaceable. That's not what this is." "Then what is it?" He sighed, like a man explaining something obvious to a child. "It's motivation," he said. "People get complacent. Knowing there are consequences keeps things sharp." My chest tightened. "You're saying the fear of abandonment should keep me obedient?" "That's not what I said. It's exactly what you said." He reached for my hand. I pulled it back. "Lauren would marry me tomorrow," he added, almost proudly. "You don't have to worry about her unless you give me a reason." That sentence changed everything. Not because it hurt, though it did, but because it clarified. This wasn't insecurity. This wasn't confusion. This was leverage. "All right," I said again, my voice steady. "Let's be practical." His eyes narrowed. "What are you doing?" "You believe in options," I continued, "in contingencies. So let's stop pretending." I stood up. "If Lauren is your backup plan," I said, "let's bring her into the open." He laughed. "You're joking." "I'm not." "Don't be ridiculous. You want honesty?" I said transparency. I leaned down, close enough for him to hear every word. "Invite her to the rehearsal dinner Friday night. It's an important night." Then I locked the phone and placed it back exactly where it had been. Daniel never mentioned it, which told me everything. Friday arrived with an eerie calm. Daniel and I barely spoke that day, not because we were fighting, but because he decided silence was safer than honesty. He left early for work. I stayed behind, moving through the apartment slowly, deliberately, like someone memorizing a place they might never return to. The rehearsal dinner was at an Italian restaurant his parents loved. Warm lighting, brick walls, soft music that tried too hard to make people feel comfortable. 50 guests, family, friends, people who believed they were here to rehearse a beginning. Daniel arrived first, greeting people with practice charm. He played the role perfectly, smiling, laughing, touching my lower back possessively when someone congratulated us. I watched him like a stranger. Then the door opened. Lauren walked in. She hesitated just inside the entrance, scanning the room like someone checking whether they were in the right place. When her eyes found Daniel, they lit up. Surprise first, then pleasure. His face drained of color. For a split second, something raw crossed his expression. Fear, then anger, then control snapped back into place. He crossed the room quickly and pulled me aside near the restrooms. "What the hell is she doing here?" he hissed. I tilted my head. "You said she was important." "This isn't funny." "I'm not laughing," he lowered his voice. "You're embarrassing me." "No," I said calmly. "I'm giving you what you asked for. Transparency." Lauren lingered near the bar, clearly confused, but flattered. Guests whispered. His mother noticed. My stomach tightened, not with nerves, but with certainty. Dinner passed in fragments. Conversations I didn't hear. Food I barely tasted. Daniel kept glancing between me and Lauren like he was managing a bomb with 2 ticking clocks. Then came the toasts. Daniel's father stood, spoke about commitment, about choosing someone every day. I almost laughed. When it was my turn, I stood slowly. The room quieted, expectant. "I want to thank everyone for being here," I began. My voice didn't shake. "Daniel and I have been together 4 years, and until recently, I thought I knew him completely." Daniel stiffened. "But a few weeks ago," I continued, "I learned something important." I reached into my clutch and pulled out the small velvet box. Daniel's breath caught. "It turns out," I said evenly, "that Daniel believes in contingency plans, backup options." A murmur rippled through the room. "He told me that if I ever messed up, there was someone else ready to step in." I turned toward Lauren. "So, I thought," I said, "why wait?" I walked across the room and placed the ring box gently into Lauren's hands. "If you're the backup," I said softly, "you deserve the truth too." Silence, the kind that presses against your ears. Lauren stared at the box, then at Daniel. "What is this?" Daniel stood abruptly. "This is insane. She's twisting everything." "No," I said calmly. "I'm repeating your words." His mother stood. "Daniel!" Lauren's voice shook. "You said you were just being friendly." Daniel opened his mouth, but nothing came out. I stepped back. "I'm done being someone's safety net," I said. "Congratulations. You're free to choose." I turned and walked out. I didn't run. I didn't cry. I just left. I didn't go home that night. I sat in my car for nearly an hour in the parking lot, hands resting on the steering wheel, phone buzzing itself into exhaustion on the passenger seat. Daniel, his parents, my parents, friends who didn't know which side of the story they were supposed to be on yet. I turned the phone face down and drove. By the time the sun came up, the wedding was already dead. Daniel showed up at my sister's place the next morning, eyes bloodshot, voice like he'd been yelling all night. He swung wildly between remorse and fury. "You humiliated me," he said. "You blindsided me. You didn't have to do it like that." I listened quietly. Then I asked one question. "Was any of it untrue?" He didn't answer. That silence told me more than 4 years of conversation ever had. The wedding was supposed to be that Saturday. I didn't show up, obviously. I'd already called the venue late Friday night from my sister's phone and canceled everything. My parents handled notifying guests.
Daniel's parents demanded explanations, apologies, reimbursements. My father told them calmly that their son had treated me like a contingency plan, and he wouldn't be funding the privilege. Daniel texted nonstop. "I didn't mean it like that. We can fix this. You overreacted. You ruined everything." Sometimes all within the same hour. Lauren reached out once. Just once. "I had no idea. I'm so sorry." She wasn't angry. She wasn't defensive. She sounded shaken, like someone who just realized they'd been standing on the same trap door without knowing it. Daniel tried to pivot toward her after everything collapsed. She turned him down. That part didn't surprise me. What did surprise me was the narrative that followed. Daniel started telling people it had all been a joke, that he teased me, that I'd taken it personally because I was insecure. A few people believed him. A few mutual friends reached out carefully, asking if maybe there was more going on, if I'd been jealous, controlling. I didn't argue. I sent them the recording. I wasn't proud of it, recording that conversation weeks earlier, but instinct had told me I might need proof. Daniel's voice was clear, calm, confident. If things don't work out, Lauren's right there, like a safety net. After that, the questions stopped. By October, Daniel had moved out. The apartment lease was in my name. He came once with his mother to collect his things. Wouldn't look at me, just pointed at boxes and let her speak for him. "You destroyed him," she said. "No," I replied. "I just refused to be replaceable." I started therapy, not because I missed him, but because I needed to understand how I'd ignored the warning signs. My therapist said something that lodged itself deep in my chest. People who value you don't keep replacements warming up. That sentence rewired everything. 7 months passed, not dramatically, not cinematically, just quietly. One ordinary day stacked on top of another. Daniel got married in January. I found out the way you find out most things you weren't looking for. Scrolling too fast, stopping too late. Small ceremony, courthouse, immediate family only. Lauren wasn't the bride. It was a woman from his gym, someone new, someone unburdened by context. He looked happy in the photos, and to my surprise, that didn't hurt. What hurt came later. Jess, one of Daniel's longtime friends, someone who'd sided with him at first, asked to meet for coffee. She stirred her drink for too long before speaking. "He's been telling people you cheated," she said finally, "that you blew up at the rehearsal dinner to cover it up." My chest tightened, not from pain, but from recognition. Of course he was. "He's told his wife that story," Jess continued. "She thinks you're the villain." I nodded slowly. "Why are you telling me this?" I asked. "Because I was there," she said, "and because it's not fair." After she left, I sat in my car and felt relief. Not vindication, not rage, relief. Because if Daniel could rewrite reality that easily, without hesitation, without shame, then the marriage I'd escaped would have been something far worse than heartbreak. The engagement ring is still in a drawer. $8,500 of certainty I bought at the wrong time. I thought about selling it. I haven't yet. Some lessons don't need to be rushed out of your life. People ask if I regret making a scene at the rehearsal dinner. Could I have handled it privately, quietly, gracefully? Probably. But Daniel had already decided I was interchangeable. Something in me needed him and everyone else to feel what that meant. Maybe that makes me petty. I'm okay with that. I'm doing okay now. Some days are easier than others. I go to therapy. I work. I sleep well most nights. I don't date yet. Not because I'm afraid, but because I'm selective in a way I wasn't before. Trust is everything, and the moment you realize someone is keeping one foot out the door, the bravest thing you can do is open it and let them walk through alone.